everybody, today we're going to be walking over the Brooklyn Bridge from Dumbo, Brooklyn all the way to Lower Manhattan. And on today's walk we're going to see a lot of notable buildings, not only on the residential side but also on the commercial side. So we'll start off by taking a quick walk around Dumbo. I mean, this neighborhood has changed so much over the years. You now have luxury condominiums. Some of the highest priced real estate in all of Brooklyn sits right here in Dumbo. This is the corner of Hicks Street and Old Fulton Street. You can see the very famous and iconic bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge. And you can see a little piece of Lower Manhattan in the distance. Now, as we continue to walk down to Front Street, you'll be able to see the One World Trade Center come into view right now. You know, an interesting building that's directly in front of the World Trade Center, it's this black building right here. That is 130 William. Now, if you're looking to move to Lower Manhattan and you're interested in living in a condominium with state-of-the-art amenities, such as a swimming pool, a billiards room, basketball court, gym, yoga studio, I would check out 130 William. It was one of the best-selling condominiums of 2022. Amazing architect, just really amazing building. And it's almost 100% sold out. I think there's 7 sponsor units left in the building, and there's about 3 resales on the market. So if you continue to walk down here, you're gonna see the Brooklyn Ice Cream Factory. You'll also see the Arabica coffee shop, which I'm sure you've seen many pictures of it online. Right here, one Front Street, you have Grimaldi's, which is a very famous pizza place here in Dumbo, Brooklyn. We'll continue down a little bit by the water before we officially start our journey over the Brooklyn Bridge. Now keep in mind, this is a Monday, right around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's very quiet, very peaceful. On the corner of Elizabeth Place, you'll have a really good coffee shop called Arabica. And you can go in there, grab a cup of coffee, and you can sit in the window, take a window seat. And while you're enjoying your coffee, you have some of the best views of not only Lower Manhattan and the World Trade Center, but also the Brooklyn Bridge. To the left here is the very famous Brooklyn Ice Cream Factory. It's on the corner of Everett Street. This place is almost always packed at night, particularly on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. This place is always packed. And just under the Brooklyn Bridge, you can see the Manhattan Bridge. So let's cross over and double back and head to the pedestrian walking path of the Brooklyn Bridge. There's two things in particular that I'm most excited about as it relates to the Brooklyn Bridge now, particularly for tourists and pedestrians. Now, number one, there is now a dedicated bike lane. So if you've been to the Brooklyn Bridge maybe 3 to 5 years ago, you probably remember walking over the Brooklyn Bridge and having to, bob and weave in between bikes, cyclists, people on their scooters. You don't have to do that anymore. And it's really safe for tourists and pedestrians now because cyclists have now a dedicated bike lane on the lower level of the Brooklyn Bridge. So you don't have to worry about, any conflict between bikers and pedestrians. Before I give you the point number 2, I want to point out a notable building in Dumbo, which is directly in front of us. So this building right here is called Olympia Dumbo. It's one of the newest and most luxurious condominiums in Dumbo, Brooklyn. And the place is amazing. I had the pleasure of being able to get an exclusive tour of all the residences. And not only does it have state-of-the-art amenities, but some of the units that are facing the front, right, I should say facing northbound, have complete balconies. And it feels as if you're essentially in a drone floating over the Brooklyn Bridge. The views are absolutely stunning. It's like you have the Brooklyn Bridge directly in your living room. You can see the World Trade Center, all of Lower Manhattan, the Statue of Liberty, and the Manhattan Bridge. I would highly, highly suggest if you're in the market for an apartment and you're looking for somewhere very unique to live in Dumbo, do some research on Olympia Dumbo. It's right on Front Street. And it has such beautiful architectural integrity, by the way. The developers of the building, as well as the architects, wanted the facade of the building to resemble a sail on a sailboat to give it those nautical vibes throughout the entire building. And as we head a little bit closer, you'll be able to see exactly what I mean by sailboat, because the building kind of curves in a very interesting pattern. You can see it right here. So it'll go up and kind of fan out like you would see a sail on a sailboat. It's pretty cool.
Good start. And then here.
So this is the corner of Main Street and Front Street. You have the main entrance to Olympia Dumbo, but right as you make this left on Main Street, you're gonna have an amazing view of the Empire State Building, perfectly centered under the Manhattan Bridge. Check this out. I'll try to zoom in so you can see. So you have the Manhattan Bridge, then you have the Empire State Building right there. So we're going to continue down Front Street. And the next street that we are going to approach is called Washington Street. This is probably one of the most photographed streets in all of Dumbo. And you'll see why. You probably notice right away. You're going to have that iconic shot of the Empire State Building perfectly centered in between the trusses of the Manhattan Bridge. In the summer, this place is absolutely packed. You have a Think Coffee on the left. You have Front Street Pizza. Yeah, you could see it attracts a lot of people. Look at that. I feel as if the city should probably close this street down to have it only pedestrian traffic, because there's so many tourists that want to come and see this view. If you want to come here yourself, just come to Washington Street and Front Street. I'll zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. There it is. You have the Empire State Building perfectly centered under the Manhattan Bridge. It's a unique shot, right? It's cool. Another thing I love about the neighborhood are these Belgian block, kind of like cobblestone streets. So let's head up Washington Street now. And this will take us to the on-ramp at the pedestrian path of the Brooklyn Bridge. Passing York Street. It's probably going to get really windy on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. So the second main thing you're going to notice now, if you walk over the Brooklyn Bridge, is there's no more vendors. So the city of New York, particularly the mayor's office, Mayor Eric Adams, they've banned street vendors from selling, knickknacks, souvenirs, people soliciting for photos and things like that. So all that is banned now. So the Brooklyn Bridge should be 100% clear. And I think it makes the bridge a lot better. This is a good shot of the Brooklyn Bridge and Olympia Dumbo. Okay, Prospect Street and Washington Street is where you're going to be able to get the on-ramp to the pedestrian Brooklyn Bridge entrance. Here you have it. This is one of my favorite views in all New York City. Right as you turn onto the walking path from Prospect. And as we make our way over the bridge, you'll notice there's no more scaffolding. So you're going to have unobstructed views, 365, to the north, south, east, and west, and all the way to the Statue of Liberty. Just 6 months ago, there used to be crowds of street vendors selling, all types of stuff. It's completely clear and free of that now. I think it looks great, and you can see the NYPD to the left up here enforcing all those laws. downtown Brooklyn. That big building you see sticking up is Brooklyn Tower. It's the tallest building in Brooklyn, at least for now. And you'll notice how all these lanes are kind of gone. This is one big pedestrian walking path. No more do you have to share this lane with cyclists or e-bikes or any other motorists. It's really great. I'll quickly show you what I'm talking about. So this is now the dedicated bike lane. They've moved the bike lane to the lower level of the Brooklyn Bridge. So make sure if you want to bike over the Brooklyn Bridge, you do not go on the pedestrian lane. You have your own dedicated and barricaded in bike lane. I'd like to point out one more notable building for everybody. When you're coming over the Brooklyn Bridge, headed towards the Manhattan side, you're gonna see this massive building right here. Now, this is one of the most luxurious residential condominiums in Manhattan. It's called One Manhattan Square. And the developer is Extel, E-X-T-E-L-L, Extel. The CEO and founder is Gary Burnett. And he really pioneered New York City's Billionaires Row. The first building ever constructed on New York City's Billionaires Row was 157 West 57th Street, or 157. And then he went on to build Central Park Tower. And most recently, they did One Manhattan Square. And you can imagine how amazing the views are. Unobstructed Lower Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, and the Hudson Yards too. Now, when I was a kid walking over the bridge, there used to be hundreds of locks, like little locks like this on the bridge. The city has banned them, and there's no more locks allowed anymore. So you'll only see like one or two, and then the city, will take them down. Look down to your right, you'll see Jane's Carousel, which is right here. Again, great views of the Manhattan Bridge. And then all the way in the distance, you can see the Hudson Yards development. I'll zoom in on it. So that collection of big skyscrapers, that is the Hudson Yards. That is the brand new headquarters of BlackRock, KPMG, and many other companies. You we've been seeing an interesting shift in commercial real estate in New York City. A lot of the Class B and Class C office towers have become increasingly vacant, but Class A office towers are actually doing really good. You know, if you think about the leases that are going up at 1 Vanderbilt, that's 100% occupancy there. 425 Park Avenue, that's where Citadel Securities is. And then Hudson Yards is doing really well too. I'd like to quickly direct your attention over to the left side. Now, all the way out in the distance, you can barely see her, but you have a clear view of the Statue of Liberty right in front of us. And right here, right there, that little boat, that's the Staten Island Ferry. So the Staten Island Ferry will take you from Staten Island to Lower Manhattan. It's the last stop on the 1 train. And if you're a tourist, I would highly recommend taking a trip on the Staten Island Ferry because it's free. You don't have to pay any money. Now that all the scaffolding's down, you can see 360-degree views of almost every borough in New York City, except the Bronx. I'll give you a quick explanation of the views that you're seeing now. Now, obviously, as explained, this big building is 1 Manhattan Square. But if we zoom in a little bit, you're going to see the entire Midtown Manhattan skyline. If we start from right to left, right here is the Chrysler Building. And just to the left of that is 432 Park Avenue. That's one of the most luxurious condos in New York City. The building right here that's not yet complete, that has the big crane on top of it, that is 270 Park Avenue. That's going to be the brand new headquarters of JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon's brand new office tower. And just to the left of that is 1 Vanderbilt, which is another beautiful new Class A office tower. And then here you have the Empire State Building. So you pretty much have all the exposures you could ever want on top of Brooklyn Bridge. It's just a little windy up here. Try the wide angle lens. So we're about halfway over the bridge now, and this is going to drop us off right at Pace University and City Hall. But a little bit further, we're going to be able to see the South Street Seaport, which is an amazing new development that sits right alongside the waterfront in Lower Manhattan. It's almost hard to believe how at one point there were bikes and cyclists on the upper level of the bridge too. As you can see, like we talked about before, they have the signs that say no vending allowed. I mean, just 6 months ago, you weren't even able to move up here. It was just booth upon booth upon vendors upon vendors. You know, it really didn't even allow the tourists to walk and enjoy the bridge because they were just getting solicited so much. So I think the city did a really good job on getting all those people out of here. And right down here is the South Street Seaport. And you can see the Tin Building that has the famous restaurant Jean Georges. We're more than 75% of the way across the bridge. And we're going to finish the last 25%. And again, this is going to drop us right off at City Hall and to the left of the entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge. For the pedestrians, you're going to see Pace University. Now from here you're gonna have a better shot of 130 William. If you're looking to move to Lower Manhattan, you gotta take my advice and look into this building right here. I'll try to zoom in on it. I mean, the architecture of this building is absolutely stunning. It has world-class amenities. I mean, everything you can imagine this building has. And it was one of the best-selling buildings of 2022. It's almost a complete sellout. Again, the name of the building is 130 William Street. We've officially made it to Manhattan from Brooklyn. You're seeing all the vehicles exit the FDR Drive. There's one more look at 1 Manhattan Square. This building to the left is Pace University. And you can see all the cars coming onto the on-ramp to the Brooklyn Bridge. officially made it to the end of the pedestrian walking path of the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, if you make a left, that's going to lead you further into Lower Manhattan. You'll be able to go to Fulton Street. You can check out the One World Trade Center as well as the 9/11 Memorial. But if you make a right, that's going to take you up through Tribeca, and you'll also be able to veer off Canal Street and go to Chinatown and Little Italy. See it a little bit clearer here. You have the dedicated pedestrian path, which we just walked over. And this is the brand new dedicated cyclist lane. I mean, let me know what you guys think. I believe the Brooklyn Bridge is much better for tourists and New Yorkers now that the pedestrian path doesn't have to share the same lane with the bike lane, but also there's no like peddlers on the bridge. You know, people aren't coming up to you trying to solicit things all the time. The bridge isn't crowded with, you know, carts and people trying to sell you stuff. It makes it a lot better. I think the experience is awesome. I think the city did a great job. And here we have it, City Hall. Brooklyn Bridge City Hall subway station. You can get the 4, 5, 6, J, and Z trains. You're gonna have all of the major courthouses in Manhattan up this way. If we continue to walk down here, this is gonna take us to the World Trade Center. Down, you'll go to Wall Street, and at the very beginning of Wall Street is Trinity Church. Then you'll have One Wall Street, which is the largest residential, or I should say the largest office to residential condo conversion in the city's history. The developer on that is Harry Macklowe. And then you'll have the New York Stock Exchange and Federal Hall. Okay. And there it is, Pace University.
I always find
right, and we've officially made it. We will end the video here. If you guys enjoyed that full walking tour of New York City's Brooklyn Bridge, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more New York City walking tours. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.